Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Today I wanted to talk about some manners of communication. Being humans, we are in need of communicating with others. The most important thing being to have a link to our Creator, the one who only created us all to worship Him alone and nothing else, made everything easy for this, and said in the Quran that He is very close to us and answers our dua, supplications, when we call upon Him. For this reason, we must learn how to correctly read His speech, the Quran. We must learn to understand it. We must read it often and follow that which He commands us. We must also follow the correct manner when we are in the prayers, since Allah is in front of us when we pray, and if we turn away, He turns away from us. In the prayer, we have one of the best chances to purify ourselves from sins, to think about what we say, and to ask from Allah that which will bring us benefit in our religion and life as a whole. For this, we must improve how we pray, paying attention to our thoughts and concentration, and remembering who we stand in front of in our prayers, and whom we are addressing in our dua. Our prayer and dua are some of the most important acts of worship in Islam, and as such, we must pay close attention to their understanding and correct implementation. As for our communication with people, then it can fall into one of 5 categories, depending to whom we communicate with. It can be wajib, obligatory, in relation to our parents, for example, even non-Muslims, relatives, those who can teach us the obligatory parts of our religion, and other people, depending on the situation. It can be mustahab, preferable, meaning with our friends, neighbors, work or study colleagues. Some of these may fall into the first category depending on our connection with them. It can be mubah, permissible, with any other people if our communication does not involve haram. It can be makruh, disliked, if it leads to undesirable consequences. And it can also be haram, forbidden, for example, between opposite sexes, with people who involve us in sins or innovations in the religion, except when we have to in exceptional cases. Today, though, I'd like to talk specifically about mobile phone communication, since it has become the most widespread form of communication around the world. This in itself has many positives as well as many negatives in my view. From the negatives, I can name unwillingness of many people to meet others and communicate with them face to face. Of course, I do not mean in our environment of coronavirus. I mean generally when we don't have epidemics and pandemics generally. Not wanting anyone to visit them, and not having any guests almost ever, which takes a large chunk out of the social and religious life of a Muslim and his family away. Like I said, times of social distancing and self-isolation are a completely different matter, of course, and we must at all times follow the advice of doctors and other experts in these issues of extreme importance. But like I said, I mean generally. Also general social discord and many other negative factors. What I would like to draw attention to is the following points. These are important things which I believe, of course, there are many things that I couldn't remember, but this is what I could remember. Before sending a message or calling someone, think, what's the time? Especially if they live in another country. Generally, it's not very polite to send messages or make calls after 9 or 10 p.m. in the evening or before 8, 9 a.m. in the morning, except if they don't mind or there's a very good reason. Do not write or ring someone to find out something you can easily find on the internet or from other sources. Save time, yours and other people's. Learn good manners and how to be polite, how to correctly greet people, how to address them, how to correctly bid farewell to them, how to answer correctly. It's not very polite not to say anything at all when ending a chat or a phone call, as many people unfortunately do, or not to thank people for being helpful to you, as it also happens quite often. If you have asked a question and you did not like the answer or the advice given, it does not give you right to abruptly end the chat or conversation and leave the person without a reply, especially if you ask him a religious question. For example, you consider him more knowledgeable than yourself, or asked for some religious advice, or even advice on your personal life, or she may be older than you, sometimes much older, or you happen to call him a sheikh or ustad, or they are your parents, for example, older relatives, even non-Muslims. If the conversation is taking place via video, do not talk while eating or lying down, except when there is a valid excuse like an illness and there is no way that you can correct it at the moment. Try not to spit or blow your nose in front of the camera. Do not call others at the same time or receive their calls unless very important, in which case apologize and explain the situation to the person. And do not talk to people not seen by the person on the line. If forced to do so, again apologize and explain. Do not use a language or languages that the other people do not understand, or do not whisper. If possible, with messages, do not conceal if you've read their messages or not. It will become clear anyway, but doing so will leave a bitter taste in their mouth. Try to answer messages as soon as you can, not after 1 day, 2 days, a week, or a month. The longest I've had is 1 year. Make it a habit, meaning to answer quickly. If you keep forgetting, that means that that person or those people is not important to you, and you let him see that. Do not communicate with girls, ladies, or men if you are a lady. If you want to get married, go to the father, if he's a Muslim, and discuss everything there with him. Or contact a well-known mosque or Islamic center if the father is not a Muslim. Before marriage, it's not allowed to communicate. After, of course, as much as you want. Do not resend everything you receive from other people. A lot of it is not true or not authentic. And many people are not happy to receive lots of messages from lots of people every day. Da'wah is for scholars and whom they approve. When with others, do not try to see who they are writing to on their phone or receiving from. It's not really something that should concern us. Look after your time. Don't waste it on social media or on the phone. Learn to thank others and to apologize. It will help you in life. Call and write to people whom you need, especially in your religion, or who need you, others depending on need. Know that Allah sees and hears everything, and that everything we do and say is recorded. Make the intention to do all of that for the sake of Allah. May Allah help us all. وجزاكم الله خيرا.